Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Sunset Rewind. I'm Kevin Dole, along with Mo Pottios as usual. And this week we were able to get out there and look at some scrimmages. So I understand you went to Huntington Beach on Friday night, or it was, I guess. What did you see out there, Coach?
Yeah, no, it was a good game. I thought they played hard. You know, we talked to Coach Brown in the offseason,
Right.
and one of the things he said was, we need to be physical. We're going to be physical. Whether we win, lose, or draw, our opponent's going to know they've been in a fight. He's got the personnel that can match that kind of system. They've got a big offensive line. I thought Jack Garcitano did a really good job running in between the tackles. So they're going to be physical, but I'm telling you, the guy on that team is A.J. Vandermeer.
Now, they had a three-way scrimmage, right?
They did. It was Santa Ana and North, JW North.
From Riverside. Right.
So they're yeah, exactly. So they're all kind of taking turns.
Okay.
And so, you know, Huntington was physical, pounding the ball, but man, every time they dropped back, it was the A.J. Vandermeer show. Their first four drives, 4 touchdowns from A.J. And he's what I call a yak monster. And if you don't know what yak means, it stands for yards after catch. And basically, his first touchdown was a bubble, which is a little route behind the line of scrimmage, caught it, gone. The next touchdown was a slant route, a 3-yard slant, caught it, got behind the defender, gone. And then he got a touchdown on 2 corner routes. In fact, we have it. Put that up, will you? He ran.
Yeah, let's take a look at that play right here.
Well, first of all, they got him in the slot position was great because you have to have a safety cover him now, not a cornerback, and there's no safety that's going to be able to keep pace with him. He's just too fast. He's got track speed, so
He looked like he has that afterburner speed, like that next level speed.
He does. And again, one of the things I liked about the scheme is if you put your fastest guy in the slot position, now a corner's no longer covering him. They're going to have to put the safety on him, so they got the mismatch they wanted. Then he simply ran a corner out to the end of the end zone, and I mean, it was just free money.
And it's going to be next to impossible to bracket a guy like that.
Exactly. So, no, they got the personnel to have a good football team this year. I'm looking forward to watching them.
Yeah, that's impressive just watching that. I mean, he blows away from that guy. I mean, there's just no catching him. Once he's gone, he's gone. All he has to do now is catch the ball, and he's got pay dirt. So 4 touchdowns for him in that scrimmage.
Yeah, and I mean, he made it look easy. Like I said, the first 3 were just short routes that he broke just because of his speed.
Wow, impressive, impressive. So next week, they open up against Mayfair High School at Bellflower. Mayfair's a pretty good program they got there over there, and over in Lakewood.
They were 9-1 last year. They're consistently finishing in the top of their league, and so this is a good test for Huntington Beach. Remember, they missed the playoffs by 1 game last year. And 2 of those preseason games they should have won. They had the lead late in the game.
Kind of a heartbreaker for them.
100%. But sometimes you learn from your mistakes. So if they can kind of learn from last year's, close the game out, finish. Just don't think that 13-point lead is going to hold up going into the fourth quarter. If they can finish, rack up some wins in the preseason, then they'll be in a good position to make a run at CIF.
Yeah, there was a contingency of people last year, not just from Huntington Beach High School necessarily, that thought had they got into, D5, 6, 7, whatever the case may be, they may very well have won CIF.
Well, that's just it. Remember, CIF reevaluates every team once the regular season's over. So, they're going to look at their non-league schedule. They're going to look at their overall record.
Right.
They'll look at their league schedule. And, I mean, Harbor was the perfect example last year. They had a heck of a run in league because, the competition's so tough. But they got into a division that was appropriate for them. And next thing you know, they're going from really bummed about their regular season to be a CIF champion. So Huntington could very well fit that mold this year.
Who's going to be the quarterback that starts for the Oilers this week?
That's the million-dollar question. I watched Pop and I watched Bell, the transfer from Catella. They both look good. It's probably going to be a game-time decision, but don't be surprised if they platoon those guys. Maybe they go every other series. Maybe they trade off quarters or halves. Remember, the preseason is still an opportunity to kind of evaluate your personnel.
Right.
You can do all the 7-on-7. You can go against your own teammates and whatnot, but now we're going to find out, this is live fire, how these guys really perform under the pressure. So it's still up in the air, but they both look good. They have different skill sets, but that hasn't been determined yet. That's kind of the million-dollar question going into the season.
So when it's all said and done and there's zeros on the clock, Huntington Beach Oilers will score how many, and the Mayfair Monsoons will score how many?
They're on the road. Mayfair's a solid team, but I'm taking the Oilers 28-21.
28-21. I like that. That's a nice, solid prediction. And
what's your prediction?
I think it'll be a tight game. I mean, you got Mayfair as a 9-1 team, but I do have a lot of faith in the Oilers, and I think what Coach Brown is doing there is going to work. So I'll give the Oilers a little bit, a couple more points. I'll go 35-21 Huntington Beach.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that. We'll see.
Yeah. So we look forward to watching that game, and good luck
And remember,
to the
that's
Oilers.
at Bellflower. They're playing Mayfair, but it's at Bellflower High School.
Bellflower High School, correct. Nice. They got a nice stadium there too. That should be make for a semi-track meet there if they want. Good fast track and everything, and with the speed that AJ has. Whew.
Well, if you're free, get out there, go watch them,
Yeah.
support the Oilers.
Yeah. So, hey, good luck to the Oilers this week. We look forward to talking about the result after the game, and best wishes to all of them. Today in our Scrimmage Week series, we're going to take a look at the Corona Del Mar Sea Kings. We weren't able to actually get to their scrimmage against Tesoro, but we did catch up with head coach Dan O'Shea. So what information were you able to get from the head coach there, Coach Pottios?
Well, he came in earlier in the offseason. We had a really good conversation with him and a couple of his key players. CDM is probably one of the most balanced, if not the most balanced team in the league.
Right.
They're ranked number 6 in the county, so a lot of people have a good opinion about them.
Yeah, that's a quite high praise for them. That's they're that good a team.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got the quarterback in Razor, all right?
Yeah.
They've got the running back in Sanders. They've got the wide receiver in Hoke, and then Trent Merriman just switched to tight end. So they've got all the guys you want at the key positions. And I got to give a shout out to Trent because he just won a very prestigious honor. So Corona Del Mar in their community has what's called the Jack Elliott Character Award.
Okay.
And that's something they award every year to a player that they feel exemplifies character, leadership, all the things you'd want from a quality football player. He won that. He's going to get to wear the number 2 jersey this year.
Okay.
It comes with a $1,000 scholarship.
Wow.
In fact, we'll have Coach O'Shea on in the next week or two, and I'll let him talk a little bit more about that award and the specifics of it. But it's a big deal to that community, and a big shout out to Trent.
And we can't mention Trent Merriman without mentioning his grandfather.
So we've known his grandfather for years, which has nothing to do with
Sarge.
Sunset Rewind. But I've known that guy for about 8 years, and I still don't know his first name. We call him Sarge. He's Sarge. He's an old school Vietnam veteran.
Great guy.
He talks like this.
Yep.
And
Neighbor of one of our dear friends, so
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time with him.
And if you're in a hurry, do not start talking to him because, man, he can tell stories and he goes on and on. And
believe
Sarge,
he-
I say that with all due respect.
He played
by
at
the way.
Ventura College, right? Or-
Yeah, he's old school.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Great
back
guy.
to CDM.
But congratulations to Trent Merriman.
That's a heck of an
awesome.
honor, something to
That's
be proud
awesome.
of. But then on the defensive side of the ball, they've got all 3 of those stud backers coming back. They were all league, led by Mason Kubicek, who came in here.
Kubicek is a dude. I mean, he's in top 25 players in all of Orange County, I believe. I mean, he was way up in that top 150 list.
Yeah, they
that
had a
Dan
lot of guys
Albano
make that-
published.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then behind them, you got defensive back, all-league return starter Oliver Ayala. So even
Yeah.
if you can get past those linebackers, you got some depth in the secondary. So just overall, they're a solid football team. They've got all the players at all the key positions.
Yep.
I'm telling the Sunset League is as good this year as a whole as they've ever been.
I
mean,
agree.
Find me a year
Yeah.
where all the teams
I
are as
agree.
talented as they are. So again, remember 2019, they hit the trifecta. They won the league title, they won CIF,
Yep.
they won state. They've got the personnel to make another run this year.
Well, it's real easy. I mean, you have a top 25 in Orange County right now. How many of the Sunset League schools are in the top 25, Coach?
6 of 7. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. 5 of 6.
Right.
But I would argue Fountain Valley. should
Fountain
beat on
Valley?
the-
Yeah.
They shut out Woodbridge
Woodbridge,
yesterday.
yeah, they look dominant.
They got their MVP come. We'll get to them in a
Yeah,
minute. But
exactly.
long story short is you can make the argument that all 6 of those teams should be in the top 25. But, you got to spread the love around. I get it. It is what it is. But regardless, it's a deep league. CDM's got a good shot at the title this year. The question is, can they go out and make it happen? We'll find out.
So it all begins this week. They're going to play the Downey Vikings.
You want my prediction? Is that
Well-
what you were waiting for?
Do we know anything about Downey first off?
I know they played last year.
Okay. What was the score last year?
36-20, CDM won.
Okay.
The problem for Downey is CDM's better this year.
Right.
And even if Downey's a little better, did they close that 16
Right.
game? They didn't. You can mark this one down, dude.
Give me a score.
42-14. I'm taking CDM.
42-14, the Sea Kings. Okay, so I suppose you want to score out of me also.
Be nice.
I will show the CDM defense a little more respect. I'm going to go CDM 42, Downey 7.
All right. We'll hold you to it.
So we'll check in with the Sea Kings and Coach O'Shea next week. Have a great week, Corona Del Mar. We'll check in with you later. We had an opportunity yesterday to go see the Fountain Valley Barons play in their scrimmage against Woodbridge. What are your takeaways from that scrimmage, Coach?
Well, there's an old saying in football, defense wins championships. And Fountain Valley, they were lights out. They shut down and shut out Woodbridge.
Yes.
There's a little caveat, though. They were running the plays from the 20, and they kept bringing the ball back.
Yes.
So they weren't able to drive, but there were no big plays. They did, in fact, shut them out. So I was impressed with their defensive side of the ball. Didn't give up any big plays, didn't give up any scores.
Nope.
If that can carry over to the season, certainly that's going to help their team a lot in terms of getting wins. But two players really stepped up for me above and beyond the guys we're going to talk about in a minute. The first one was Noah Banua. He's only a junior, won the quarterback starting role in the offseason. He had a very solid, consistent game.
Yeah.
And then Nolan Oliveras, he's only a sophomore, wide receiver, got the one score.
Dude had an 80-yard touchdown, right?
Yeah, 80-yard touchdown on a post pattern, ran right by the defender.
Beautiful.
So only a sophomore. So, to make those kind of plays when you're that young.
The future looks bright.
Yeah, so those guys can develop a relationship throwing the ball this year. We know they can run the ball, and I'll let you talk about that in a second. But between the defense, the quarterback, and the receiver, and the running game, Fountain Valley's ready to make that jump
They're
to the
ready.
next level. I think they're there. I
They're
really
there.
do.
And I noticed what's going to help them make that jump is their senior leadership. I mean, Ben Pham, we saw him carrying the ball a lot, and he was able to, find some running space and, gather some real estate for the Barons, which they're going to need to do, a good balanced run and pass attack. And then, obviously, their defensive leader, Kane Elroy, you spoke to their defense. I mean, Woodbridge, they weren't able to move the ball at all, it didn't look like yesterday. And I think, Mr. Elroy being the heart of that defense and, inspiring his teammates to play. I think between an improved offense and a pretty stout defense, the Barons, things are looking up for them this year.
Well, keep in mind, remember, we talked about this earlier, that the fact that the head coach last year, Coach Gutierrez, basically took over with a couple weeks for the whole season, before the season started.
Yeah.
Now he's had a whole offseason to do things his way, put in the things he wants, implement, the philosophies, get his staff together, and really start to get this program to where he wants it.
I remember, Fountain Valley was a powerhouse back when you and I were in high school.
Well, they're coming back. I'm telling you, it might be a lot sooner than you think. In fact, we had a chance to talk to Coach.
Yeah,
after
we
the
caught
game,
up with Coach Gutierrez after the game. Let's
Go
see
ahead.
what he had to say.
Yeah, roll that.
We're going.
Coach, I know you didn't have a chance to watch film yet, but just from a sideline perspective, what's your overall feeling on today's performance?
I think there's always room for improvement. I think our guys, we have bigger expectations for them. I thought they played well for the first maybe 20 plays. They played how we play, and then it got a little mixed up, and I think they got away from themselves a little bit. So, but it's good. It's practice. It's what we do this for, and then we can polish it up for next week.
Anytime you go through fall camp in 2 days, the biggest challenge is really just getting through it healthy.
Yeah.
As you guys get ready for Valencia, how are you guys holding up physically, and will you guys be at full strength for that game next week?
Yeah, we'll be at full strength. We had about 4 starters that were out that didn't play today. So, but we'll be good for Valencia. They'll all be back.
Have you had a chance to scout Valencia yet? And if so, what kind of problems do they pose for you, and what kind of a challenge will that be?
We saw them yesterday. So, yeah, they're a heavy run team. Good. I know the coach works on that all day, and that's what he does. And they want to be physical up front, so we're okay.
We saw you too, Coach. They're in the stands. I saw them, just so you know. But anyway, Coach, best of luck this season. Good luck next week, and thanks for taking time to talk to us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So, Barons open up with the same opponent they opened up against last year, which was the Valencia Tigers. This time they have to go out to Placentia, to Bradford Stadium. What's your outlook for that game for the Barons?
That's going to be a good game. It's payback for Valencia because, they weren't happy about losing last year. But, Valencia, we're very familiar with being an Empire League team.
Absolutely.
They're very methodical. They're very, they like to ground and pound, and, they play that 50 front on defense. But I'll tell you what, one of the things Coach said I think is important, getting back Abdel Habibe in the backfield, another outstanding running back, and the offensive line, Matt Minna, who didn't play yesterday. He's probably their biggest guy on the O-line. Yeah. That's going to give them a lot of depth in the backfield. It's going to give them an extra push up front. So if Banua, the quarterback, can really control the game, don't necessarily have to make any mistakes, but just keep those third downs coming. Game management, right. You don't have to go out and win it necessarily. Just don't lose it. Let Pham and Habibe and Elroy do their thing. I like Fountain Valley. I think they got a good team this year. They're ready. I'll tell you what right now. I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay.
All 6 teams from the Sunset League are making the playoffs. I really believe that. At the
All right.
worst, 5 or 6.
You heard it here first.
I'm calling right now, Fountain Valley's getting in. They got all the pieces in place to make it happen. They're going to Valencia. They're winning 21-7 market.
21-7 market. Okay, Coach Pottios on the board. I agree. I think the Barons are going to go to Placentia, and I think they're going to come back home to Fountain Valley with a victory. And I like your score 21-7, but just mix it up a little bit. I'll say Fountain Valley 21, Valencia 10.
I'll take it. Go Barons.
Yeah, I think the Barons are going to come home and be going into next week with a 1-0 record. So we'll see what happens. Good luck to the Barons, and we'll catch up with you guys later. And we're here to talk about Newport Harbor. Coach, what do we know about the Sailors?
22 in the county. Return a couple stud football players. They're actually, as we speak, in Hawaii.
Wow.
Not bad for a start of a football
Must
season.
Must be nice.
Yeah, so they're a team that they're defending CIF champions. Yep. They're coming into the season with a lot of momentum, and this is a team that I think's got a shot to win the title again. I really do.
Yeah, the Sailors look like they're going to be a lot of fun to watch this year on both sides of the ball. They scrimmaged Northwood in Irvine yesterday, and our fantastic social media director, Taryn Rodriguez, was there to cover them. Thank you, Taryn. We appreciate it. Great job. And he was able to catch up with the Newport Harbor quarterback, Colton Joseph. So let's see what Colton had to say about yesterday's performance.
This is Taryn Rodriguez of Sunset Rewind with Newport Harbor quarterback Colton Joseph. All right, Colton, you got your first few reps in the scrimmage. How's that feeling right now for you, knowing that you got your first scrimmage as a Sailor under your belt?
You know, it felt good to get out here finally and play some opponents and, you know, just start slinging it. We didn't have all our guys today, but, you know, it still felt really nice to finally get out of here and play someone new.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned that Cash and Henjum didn't play, but what's it like having him and Josiah Lamarque as your wide receiver 1 and 2?
It's awesome. I feel like I have full trust in them. I can pick either side of the field. You know, it's just we have a good connection going.
Did it take you a little while to learn the Newport Harbor playbook, or was it pretty much second nature?
A little bit of both. You know, we had a new OC, so the whole team was learning new stuff, but it came quicker to me, so it was pretty easy.
And obviously, you being here in a new school at Newport Harbor, like what's it like being here at Newport Harbor as opposed to like San Juan Hills?
You know, I just love the culture here, the people. You know, I feel very welcome and loved, and just, you know, it's an awesome place. I love it.
And going forward into your first game, what's it going to take to take down Farrington and have a successful season down the road?
Everyone needs to click, make connections. You know, we need to fire off the ball. We just need to get ready. You know,
And are there any games?
What?
Are there any games in particular that you're looking forward to?
CDM. You know, we're going down. That's all I gotta say.
So Colton Joseph there for Newport Harbor. He seems to have fit right in with the Sailors, you know, having recently transferred from San Juan Hills. He even made a reference to the Battle of the Bay, talking about CDM already. So
They already got him indoctrinated.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. So as you alluded to earlier, the Sailors are in Hawaii right now to take on Farrington High School out there. How's that game shaping up for them?
That's a tough one to handicap. I don't know a lot about Hawaii football. I know it's not Punahou or St. Louis. Those are the two ringers over there. But, you know, Farrington's got a couple things in their advantage going into this game. Number one, they've already played 2 football games.
Wow,
as of
really?
today.
They have?
Yep.
Wow.
And, you know, it usually takes a couple games to get your game legs in, to get your speed and your timing down. It's an opportunity for their coaches to kind of make adjustments in terms of personnel. Like, is this guy performing the way we wanted him to? And so, you know, by the time they play Harbor, that'll be their 3rd game. So I'm going to give that check mark to Farrington. The other thing is, you know, in high school football, home field advantage is not that big of a deal. It's not like college or the pros.
Right.
But when you're in Hawaii, that can lead to distractions. You know, I mean, a lot of these kids have probably never been on an airplane, let alone been to Hawaii.
I mean, it's got to be such a wonderful experience for them.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to do the luau and all that stuff, and, you know, the beaches and the water and all that. So to the Harbor players, I'm telling you right now, you're there for one job, and that's to play a football game. Enjoy yourselves, have fun, but you're there to play football, so get it done.
Yeah, you got that game. You know, once you get on the field, you know, you take it all in, but once that whistle blows and you're playing football, you are playing football.
And I'm quite certain Coach Lofthouse has expressed that
he'll have
many
them
times
prepared.
to them.
He will have them prepared, absolutely.
But, you know, having said all that, look, this is Newport Harbor. They grew up at the beach.
Yeah.
It's not like some team from Nebraska who the only thing they know about water is drinking it. Okay, I mean, these guys have been to the beach. They've been in the water. They know what they're so. I'm sure they'll like the scenery, but they're not going to be as overwhelmed as some team that's never been to a beach before. So, you know, be that as it may, I think Newport Harbor, especially with the quarterback now, with Colton Joseph transferring in, he's got 2 outstanding wide receivers in Hinjum and Lamarque.
Yes.
I think it's going to be close early on just because, Harbor's got to get their legs underneath them. And, again, Farrington has 2 games under their belt.
But they're already out there in Hawaii, so they're going to have like an entire week to practice out there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about the weather. It's humid, although Southern California's been gross the last week, so it's probably nicer in Hawaii in terms of humidity than it is here. Yeah, especially the way it's been the last.
There's a reason they call it paradise.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I like the Sailors in this one. I think it's going to be competitive early on, but I think they'll pull away in the second half. Give me the Sailors 28-17.
Okay, 28-17 Sailors. I like that. I'm going to go 28-14 Sailors. So you know what that means, Coach Pottios? We have the entire Sunset League going undefeated this week.
That's exactly what it means, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
We have the Sunset League going 6-0 in week
Perfect.
1. Everyone starts off in the win column.
Let's go 1-0 for the team. I'm down for that for the whole league.
I like that, and I think that is going to happen. We're going to look at the standings next week, and everybody's going to have a 1 in the W column, which is going to be great.
All those rankings will go up a couple more notches. Those teams lose it. So let's wait and see what happens. So. Gentlemen, you got to step up. Don't make us look bad. Get the W. Get it done.
Go Sailors, and we'll check in with you next week. Have a great time out there and a fun vacation, and have a great football game as well, Sailors.
Aloha.
You and I had the opportunity to go to Long Beach Millikan High School on Thursday evening and see the Edison Chargers in action. Well, what were your takeaways from Edison? What did you think of them?
They look good. I mean, they're the number 8 team in the county for a reason. They looked great on both sides of the ball. We're getting into the specifics, but I thought the defense was lights out.
Yeah.
They had a player that we're going to talk about in a second here who was just unstoppable. They're primed to make a run at the championship too. I like this Edison team a lot.
Tucker Tripp is a 6'2", 200-pound receiver, not playing extra Z on the outside. He's playing slot.
Yeah.
How do you cover that guy? Well, unbelievable.
Ask Millikan because they couldn't.
Yeah,
they
he
couldn't
was all
figure
over
it out.
the place.
I mean, he was a highlight reel, no doubt about it.
So we were able to actually catch up with him after the game. So let's see what Tucker Tripp had to say about the Edison Chargers' performance. Hey there, and welcome back to Sunset Rewind. I'm Kevin Dole, joined here by Tucker Tripp of the Edison Chargers. Hey, first of all, congratulations on a great scrimmage today. What was the best part of the scrimmage for you? How did you think you guys played?
I think just watching the whole team go out there and compete. Obviously it's been a long summer, a long spring, and just finally getting out here and putting pads on people, converting opportunities as an offense, as a defense. That was just really encouraging to see the whole team really come through. I didn't think there were any weak points on the day. I thought everybody stepped up, so that was really encouraging to see.
So how did it feel to finally compete against another high school instead of just going against your boys all summer?
Words can't describe the feeling. I mean, once you go up against your defense for 60 days in a row, it gets a little repetitive, but getting some fresh faces out there and just competing, getting the opportunity to get better is just a great opportunity and just super fun as a player.
So you guys open next week with Venice. What do you know about the Gondoliers?
Not much, to be honest. We're a team that takes every week as they come, so we'll prepare for Millikan, and now we're on to Venice. We haven't watched a ton of film on them, but next week we're hoping to learn a lot more, maybe watch some film from them last year, and then just get better one day at a time and look ready to compete next Friday night.
Well, the Chargers definitely look like they're firing on all cylinders tonight. It was great watching you guys play. Have a great season this year. Thanks for joining us, Tucker.
Appreciate you.
All right, so we just heard from Tucker Tripp of Edison. One of the takeaways I had from watching that game is Edison, they have fun. They're just running around all over the place. I mean, they're doing a good job and able to move the ball at will, it seemed like. I know that you noticed Parker Awab at quarterback, and what'd you notice about that young man throwing the ball around?
Well, he was 7 for 7. He completed every pass he threw, but the one part I was really focused on was the offensive line. I wanted to see how they held up protecting their quarterback because, he's their guy.
Right.
And all 7 times he dropped back, not once was he sacked, not once was he even touched.
Wow.
His jersey was as clean leaving the game as it was when he got off the bus.
Good on you, offensive line of Edison. Props to you guys. That's awesome.
Now,
taking care of your quarterback like that?
I will say this. It was a National Turf Field, so even if they had sacked him, it wasn't going to get dirty, but you get my point.
But,
right?
I mean, if you're Parker and you're going out in the game going, I'm not going to get touched. I got time to throw.
And with the targets he has, they're going to make his life easy. So, no, O-line did a good job. If they can maintain the pass protection that they showed against Millikan, they're going to put a lot of points up on the board.
I noticed their defense, too. I mean, Did Milliken maybe had like one first down the whole scrimmage?
First of all, Edison shut them out defensively.
Yeah.
They had one first down. It was off an offsides. They got the guy to jump. That was it.
Right.
They didn't actually earn a first down the old-fashioned way. They had to get a penalty, which that's part of the game.
Yeah, of course.
But, that was it. They got shut down. Edison was dominant on both sides of the ball.
And Milliken, I mean, it started off, and we're I remember standing on the sideline before the game. We're like, oh, this looks like a pretty good matchup. But once they got started, and Edison had that first score, I was like, oh.
Well, Milliken looked the part, but unfortunately they didn't play the part. And I think a lot of that had to do with Edison.
Which is just, it plays so much more into how great the Sunset League is. And, seeing Edison, it's like, wow, that's going to be, I can't wait to see them against like CDM and against Los Al and the rest of the Sunset League. It's going to be so awesome.
I'll tell you what, the one thing I'm really curious is to how do they solve being Edison is the Troy Fletcher departure.
Right. That's a big loss.
He was Mr. Everything, but I'll tell you what, Carter Hogue and Isaiah Riley are two very good backs. I mean, they're not Troy Fletcher, but not many people are. But remember, if you got a two-back system, those guys can stay fresh.
They're not going to get tired.
They're not going to get worn down as the season progresses. Remember a couple years at Cypress, we had Isaac Hurtado, who we rode all the way to the CI finals. But by the time that game started, he was just a shell of what he was because he'd taken so much damage. Now you got two capable backs who can platoon, stay fresh, complement one another. And so, again, if that O-line can run block as well as they pass block in this game, like I said, this Edison Charger is going to light up the scoreboard.
So, in your opinion, do you believe it's within the realm of possibility you could have two 1,000-yard rushers on the same team?
The problem is when you got a receiver like Tucker Tripp, you got to throw the ball right. Theoretically, yes, they could if they chose to go that route.
Right.
But, remember, teams are going to have to double team him. So that's one less defender.
But you talk about having balance on offense right there.
Right. They've got a lot of options.
So,
no, they're not going to have two 1,000-yard backs, but they're going to be good enough that teams are going to have to honor them and play straight up. So that's an offense I'm really looking forward to watching this year.
So they open up with Venice.
By the way, do you know what the Venice mascot is?
If I'm not mistaken, it is the Gondoliers.
That's right.
All right.
Is that the dude on the boat with the stick?
Yeah,
and goofy hat?
Because Venice is
that makes sense.
A world famous city in Italy, and Venice here in the Los Angeles area.
Anyway, back to Venice. High school. No, they're a good team. They win their league championship every year. They're, in fact, the two-time defending league champions.
LA City School.
That's right. That's a good first game for Edison. Look, are they Sunset League Venice? No. But they're a league champion quality team. That's a great week one game. I just think the offensive line for Edison front is going to be the difference. I think they're going to get a good push against Venice. And go ahead and mark this one, dude. 35-14 Chargers.
Well, put it on the board then. 35-14 Edison. I'm going to Edison once again, one of those teams with a fantastic kicker. So I'm going to give the kickers a little respect here and say,
and you love those special teams.
I'm going to go Edison 41, Venice 17.
I'm cool with that.
So we'll check in again.
Don't disappoint, Edison. We're counting on you guys.
Yeah, we look forward to high tempo, high scoring. So we'll check in with Edison again next week and see how they do. Hopefully they'll come back from Venice with the victory.
Get it done, Chargers.
Today in our series of the scrimmages that are taking place this week, we are moving on to Los Alamitos. However, ironically enough, they didn't have a scrimmage this week. So what do we know about Los Alamitos anyway, Coach?
Well, I can tell you that the third-ranked team in the county. They return a lot of good players at all the key positions. They're the odds-on favorite to win the Sunset League Championship. They've got all these key pieces of this puzzle. When you put it together, this is as good of a team that they've had in a long time.
They are legit.
Now, look, I'm not going to give them the title yet. They're going to have to go out and earn it.
Right.
And there's a lot of teams that are going to have something to say about it. But having said all that, they're the real deal. They're loaded, and we're going to get more into the specifics in a second here. But they're legit.
So I was able to actually catch up with their defensive coordinator, Mike Cobley. So let's see what he has to say about the Griffins this year.
Coach, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here. We know your schedule's tremendously busy with the first game coming up this week.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having us. We really appreciate everything you guys do for high school football.
So thank you, Coach. Now that camp is done and all over with, and you've had 2 months of to evaluate everything in the summer, how do you think camp went going into this as you analyze everything going into the first week?
I think it went well. We have a lot of youngsters on defense and, a lot of youngsters on O-line. So, it's going to be some growing pains, as we go along. We have a veteran group of skilled guys with a lot of young guys behind them that are very talented. But this is going to be, for a lot of these guys, their first time playing together. We don't have very many returning starters on defense other than the secondary. So it takes a lot of work to get the continuity and the trust between that front that on both sides of the ball. So it went well, but we have a long way to go.
So where do you think the Griffins made the most improvement or improvements?
I think it's across the board. I think our O-line's getting better. I think our D-line's extremely talented. So the most growth that we've seen is probably at the linebacker position, because most of them are not too many guys have varsity experience at all. Javen Simby had varsity experience last year at Servite, but most of the other guys will be playing in some of their first games when we play the first few weeks of the season. So, they have the most room to grow, but they are extremely talented.
So on the flip side of that, then where would you like to see where some improvements might still need to be made?
Mostly understanding their roles and responsibilities. We've thrown a lot at them in these first few weeks. So we kind of installed everything. And now, as we get into what we do is we kind of give them a little bit of everything, and then we game plan. And as the year goes on, they can handle a larger and larger game plan. But for week 0, generally, it's going to be, less complicated, and then we'll add in things as we go along.
So we all know about, the great players at Los Alamitos. Were there any guys in camp that really stepped up where you're like, oh, wow, that guy's really going to help us a lot this season?
Yeah, once again, I go back to like a couple, we have a couple of freshmen that are starting on the offensive line, offensive tackles, and Zion and Manoa. They're really, really talented guys. Our quarterback room is nice, considering you have Jaden O'Neal behind Malachi Nelson, and then the 2 young guys are pretty good as well. And then, the running backs are really solid. We have young receivers ready to step up. But overall, it's just good to see that we, Los Al has a really bright future too. It's not just Malachi and Makai and Ethan and Shin and all these guys that have been with and Porch, of course, and Isaiah. There's a lot of guys behind them that have a lot of talent. So, but they have to step up in order for these seniors to have a really strong senior year. These young guys are going to have to mature fast.
So first game of the season coming up against Garces Memorial. What do you know about them, and what's the game plan?
Well, they've been traditionally a 2-back team. They like to run the ball. Their hashtag is run the damn ball. And, they're physical. They're really talented. The Central Section, team. And the last time that I got it, I was across from them was in my Cypress days. And I think it was my second year as a head coach. And we played them at a Mission Viejo Classic, as you know. And
I remember that well.
We lost to them, and we know that this is going to be their Super Bowl. And so we have to prepare for that. These guys are going to fight. They've got a lot of fight in them, a lot of pride in that Central Valley.
Well, we look forward to watching that game and wish you the best of luck. Have a happy and safe trip up to Bakersfield, and all the best of the Griffins. And we'll check in with you soon, Coach. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much.
And thanks, everyone. This has been Kevin Dole for Sunset Rewind. Have a great day. God bless you all.
So Coach Cobley had some interesting things to say about the Griffins, and it looks like they had a really good summer camp, and they learned a lot of things about the talent level they have this year, and they got some new transfers coming in that Coach Pottios is going to tell us about right now.
Well, there's a couple I'm actually looking forward to watching. The first is the Long Beach Jordan All-League running back Damian Henderson. He's 6'2", 180 pounds. Now, remember, the big thing on Los Al this year was Lemon and Nelson, the 2 SE guys.
Right.
And so defenses were thinking, okay, we'll defend these guys by covering the receivers. Well, now you add an all-league quality running back into the mix. Now they got some decisions to make. If you're going to drop and cover, TJ Fenton, the offensive coordinator, he'll just gash you the whole game down.
Absolutely.
All the way into the end zone. And if you decide to put 8 in the box, are you really going to go one-on-one with the receivers on the outside? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how these defensive coordinators try to defend Los Al because they've got a lot of tough decisions to make.
I mean, yeah, do you want, Nelson to throw for 300 or 400 yards against you? Okay, we're going to take that away, but now Henderson runs for 250 yards.
Yeah, so every defensive coordinator is going to earn their paycheck this year because they got a lot of work ahead of them. But then on the other side of the ball, how about the guy T.J. Cunningham, the all-world guy from Georgia?
T.A. Cunningham, yeah.
6'6", 275 pounds.
Oh,
okay, there's
goodness.
NFL defensive ends that aren't that big.
Yeah.
But then on the other side of that is Sin Brennan, 6'5", 235, the other defensive end. So as good as the quarterbacks are in this league, you're going to have 2 studs coming off the edge getting in their face. So that's really going to put – and remember, Los Al returns their entire secondary.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, between the pressure they're going to generate up front and their ability to cover on the back end, again, now the offensive coordinators are going to have to earn their money this year playing Los Al because there's so many decisions to make. How do you attack this defense? Because there's so many strengths.
I mean, even if you're like an offensive guy, you like offense in football, you're going to watch Los Alamitos and be like, wow, defense is fun too.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Are these ends blockable? Do you have to put a tight end on both sides of your tackles? Which is fine. You can double team them, but now you've lost 2 weapons on the offensive side of the ball. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see how those guys step up. They kind of remember Denver Broncos a couple years ago when they won the Super Bowl. They had Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware on the end, and they were just shutting down quarterbacks. I mean, Los Al has that potential. Again, we haven't seen him play yet, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But on paper, the potential is certainly there.
And the Los Al coaching staff is a think tank. You have 2 exceptional and gifted and longtime defensive coordinators in Mike Cobley and John Iman, giving 2 football geniuses like that a defense to run like that. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I mean, they've been coaching a long time. They know their X's and O's. They know personnel. So, no, they're definitely in a good position this year to make a run at it. No doubt about it.
So the Griffins open up in Bakersfield against Garces Memorial. What do we know about Garces?
Well, remember, we played them a couple years ago at Cypress.
Right.
We lost a tight one. Now, how long ago was that?
Oh, boy.
Do you remember
I want to say that's almost
Cobley was the head coach.
9 or 10 years, yeah.
So, look, I don't know what a 9-year-old team has to do with a decade later, but you get an idea of their personnel. Like Coach Cobley said in the interview, they're a 2-back set. They're a good team, but look, they're not Los Al.
And that Central Valley of California has a lot of talent in the Bakersfield, Fresno area, but
it ain't Los Al.
Yeah,
the bottom line is this: no, it's 49-14. In fact, I think at halftime, Los Al's pulling their starters out. I'll give them 2 touchdowns late in the game because maybe they score on the backups, but I just don't see them hanging with Los Al. There's just too much talent on that team.
I think Los Al even gets maybe the kicking game involved a little bit. I'm going to go 52-7 for a final score. I think the Griffins are just, like you said, they're just too much.
Well, let's tune in and find out.
Much. Yeah. So we wish all the best to Los Alamitos as they travel a little bit north this week, and we'll check in again with them next week. That'll conclude our scrimmage week tour of the Sunset League schools. I think we got a lot of good information and a lot of good stuff out there. What were some of your key takeaways and shout-outs that you have to offer up after scrimmage week now that it's done?
Well, this week I'm going to give my shout-out to a player from Newport Harbor. It didn't really have anything to do with the scrimmage, but if you follow Carson Diavla, he's their stud safety. He led the state last year in tackles for defensive backs. Dude just put up 315 pounds on a clean.
315.
315. Go check out his Twitter
So
feed.
wait a second, Coach. Yeah. You played football, Division I collegiately at UCLA. You were in a Rose Bowl.
Right.
In your heyday, when you're your strongest, could have you done that?
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not in my prime. 315. That's go to the gym and put 345s on either side of the bar. Just see if you can pick it up, deadlift it. Okay, the clean is you're lifting it above your chest and holding it. So and by the way, Coach Eddie Steele, who's kind of their weight training guru, Carson gave him a lot of credit. So I want to give a shout out to Coach Steele as well, because he's the one who gets them in the gym and has got them working hard. But that's impressive. That's a heck of
done in the weight room. Carson, you are a dude. That is impressive.
Certainly
and
strong.
Coach Steele, props to you too.
Well, who's your shout out?
I gotta thank our guy Taryn Rodriguez. This guy is just going all over Southern California, tracking down information for us, getting us interviews, giving us content, making Sunset Rewind awesome. And I just props to you, Taryn. We couldn't do it without you, and we really appreciate all the great things you bring to this podcast. So keep up the good work, and thanks.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges we had over the last 2 days was, you got 5 teams going,
Yeah.
but there's only 2 of us.
Yeah.
So Terrence stepped up, went out to the game, got some footage for us. So, I mean, that all makes a difference. So we can give you guys a
And
show.
he's got a great rapport with all the coaches and players, and it's like, yeah, it's just it's awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Any other shout-outs? We good?
Some
How about-
observations.
Yeah, okay.
So we
The
were at
Fountain
Fountain
Valley
Valley
JV
yesterday.
coach.
Yeah.
I'll take this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So this guy, I don't know your name, coach, and I apologize, but the Fountain Valley junior varsity head coach. So they had their scrimmage, varsity go, then JV go.
Yeah.
Guy comes out in spread.
Okay.
The next play, he comes out in double wing.
Okay.
The play after that, he comes out in empty, which is all receivers, no
Right,
backs.
right.
The
5.
play after that, they're in quads. He must have run 6 exotic formations, one play after another, and they all got positive
He had
yards.
quads empty, so he had a single receiver to one side and 4 to the other.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
You just don't see that often. So anyway, if somebody can, in the comments below, put that coach's name, we'll give him a shout out by name in the next week.
That was awesome.
And anything, if you like what we're doing, even if you don't like our show, we'll read the mean tweets too, or the mean comments. So if you comment, we read them all, by the way. And then if we like them, if they're
Yeah,
appropriate,
yeah.
even if they're inappropriate to an extent, we'll read them on air and give you some shout outs. So let us know what you think. Please like and subscribe. That helps the channel. And
And a quick reminder, the Sunset Rewind magazine is almost ready for publication, so look for that. We're still currently gathering team photos and information so we can put out the best high school football magazine in all of Orange County, if not Southern California, if not the whole state. I mean,
it's incredibly detailed. It's
our
got all
folks
the
here
teams.
do a great job, and we're being brought to you by Golden Com. We'd like to thank them for everything they do for us. And obviously we have our producing staff here, Cole Menzinger and Murphy Cargis. Thanks to those guys. You guys do a great
Google
job.
Murphy Cargis. That's our producer.
Thank you so much for making this real, making this legitimate, and making it awesome. And, we love bringing you Sunset League Rewind and all the football coverage. And we look forward to checking in with you again next week after week 1. Go Sunset League. Thanks for watching
6-0,
us
baby.
on Sunset Rewind.
6-0.
On behalf of Pottios, I'm Kevin Dole. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and God bless you.